Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Asia Business Talk Show. Asia Business Talk Show is the preferred platform for business owners, investors, regulators, and talents to drive constructive communications globally and to solve latest business challenges. Now, let me introduce our panelists of today. Yihao, Senior Managing Partner, ACMF BOSR Consulting. Nikki, Senior Managing Partner, ACMF Business Application. Izun, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Human Capital. Ginhai, ACMF, Senior Managing Partner, ACMF Human Capital. And Edward, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Corporate Services. Allow me to introduce the host. Is a Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Strategic Alliances. I'm Louis. I'm the Head of Global Strategy from ACMF Strategy and Grow. The details and context of today's speakers and panelists and hosts, you can locate them at the facebook.com at ACMF Group. Allow me to introduce the first speaker, Steve Barnes, Senior Managing Partner of ACMF Security and Risk Consulting. He got his Bachelor of Science with honor in Computer Science and 25 years in IT industry, UK and Malaysia. And feel free to ask questions pertaining the topic in Zoom chat room. We'll answer you if we have enough time. So let's welcome Steve. His topic is ACMF Cybersecurity Primer, techniques to stay safe in and out of the office. Over to you, Steve. Let me stop sharing and you can start sharing from your side.
Thanks, Louis. Let me make sure I share the right window. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Barnes from ACMF Business Optimization, Security and Risk Consulting. And this is just a little cybersecurity primer, just some techniques to stay safe when you're in and out of the office. So what is cybersecurity? It's very simple. It's the protection of computer-based information, controls, or services. So basically anything stored in a computer, controlled by a computer, or delivered by a computer, it's the protection of that. So when you want to remain secure, if you're working remotely, a VPN, this is quite a good idea. I get asked a lot of the time, what is a VPN? So a VPN creates a secure link between your device and your remote destination network. The VPN server is configured to show your device as though it's connected directly to your remote network. So from home, it looks like your computer is plugged straight into the network switch in your office. So then you have access to all of your files, your other devices on that network, and any services you have. So this is perfect for if you need to connect to your office to access your accounting systems, your files, whatever you have there. And here we can see roughly how it works. So everyone in their remote locations are connected to the server through a secured link. And this allows data to travel the same as it would if it was on your network locally. So what do you do as an individual or a business to stay safe? The main thing, I tell this to everybody, be careful what you click. Most email services will warn you of a risk. If you use Gmail, you'll see your spam folder filling up with lots of emails that it recommends that you don't view, don't click on. Not all services have this, particularly if your company is hosting your own email in-house. Often you don't have those kind of security checks on your email. That makes it very dangerous to open attachments, to click on links when you're sending emails. So be very careful who you're receiving emails from and what links that you're opening. Also, websites. Obviously, we have to go to websites every day, but it's also very easy to be infected by malware when you go to a website. So try to avoid, let's call them questionable websites, regardless of the content. If you know that it's maybe a little on the gray side of the law, there's a good chance that there'll be things there that will try to infect you. So the solution to this is basically good paid antivirus. There are free antivirus, there are paid antivirus. Paid is like wearing a surgical mask during COVID. Free is like covering your mouth with your hand. So it may offer some protection, but really not the amount of protection that you need. Good antivirus can save even the most click-happy people. It will interrupt, it will stop them. Hold on a second. I think I need to do a mute. Can someone mute, please, for me? So even the most click-happy people that are, click on every link they're given, they will be protected by proper antivirus. So my top 3 anti-malware companies: Bitdefender. I use this personally. I use this for my my home business. I recommend it to my clients. So far, it's been extremely good software. They have one of the best detection engines in the market. It's often used in other third-party products. Then you've got Kaspersky and ESET. Both of those are extremely good good packages. They also have free options. So they've got personal, corporate, and free. But remember, free is like covering your mouth with your hand. Yeah, there seems to be an echo, I think, from Dr.YKK's phone at the moment.
Yeah,
To mute him. The other thing that can save you is backup. You've heard it a million times. Backup, backup, backup. Plugging in a USB drive and copying your files once every 2 months is not a proper backup. You need proper network attached storage. This has multiple hard disks, so you prevent data loss if one of the disks fails. You can also snapshot your data, so regularly throughout the day, your files can be copied to a secure place on the NAS. So even if your network attached storage device itself was infected with ransomware, or your files were encrypted, the snapshot would be safe. So you can always recover back from there. And also you can sync your files offsite to something like Google Drive, Dropbox, Amazon. All of those allow you to back up your files from your NAS directly, so your computer doesn't have to be involved. This is something that you can have working in the background when you're not there. The other thing you can do, education, it's as simple as that. If you understand the techniques used to infect you, it makes you much better prepared to prevent yourself being infected. And the best protection for that, you're doing it already. Listening to me bang on about security really does make a big difference. You will get that extra knowledge that helps you protect yourself in the future. The next one, strong passwords. Passwords are a pain. You think of one, you use it, your browser remembers it for you, you forget it. One day the browser forgets it, and you have to recover your password and set a new one because you've forgotten it. And then that loops around again and again. So my method for passwords: use a longish word or phrase that you recognize and add some symbols to it. So if you want to try this, this is kind of fun. If you go to howsecureismypassword.net, this website, without sending your password anywhere, will tell you how secure your password is. So you'll see that if you type in the password, it would be instantly cracked. password is the default on most things. So it's the first thing that any piece of software that's trying to hack into your website or your service will try. But if you take password and you add on 2 forward slashes, Z ampersand, so just a few symbols there at the end, you'll find that now it takes 13 million years to crack, which really makes a big difference. So my philosophy is, if you want to be able to remember your passwords, use a word or phrase that you can remember, and then add a selection of letters and characters at the end that will make it infinitely more secure. The other thing to do is two-factor authentication. If you have the opportunity to use two-factor authentication, use it everywhere you can. If possible, use it as an app on your phone or with a physical device like the bank often gives out. Try not to use SMS because SMS is not secure. It's better than nothing, but ideally try and use an app or a device, physical device to provide your two-factor authentication. And that is that. If you've got any questions, please pop them into the chat and I'll happily go through them. Okay, let me...
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for the sharing. So from the participant, feel free to share your question over the chat box, and then the panelists, feel free to ask question in case you have.
Hi, Steve. Good afternoon. First of all, thanks for the sharing. I have a question here. We know that the Malaysian Movement Control, which is MCO, extended another 2 weeks from now, based in news yesterday.
Yeah.
What is your advice for the business owner in the market right now who have the business fall under the essential service in terms of security and risk perspective, so that they can have a peace of mind on their business operation? Thank you.
What I'd say is, I mean, regardless of whether you're considered an essential service now or just after the MCO is relaxed, the same problem is going to apply to both parties. So what I can see happening over the near future is that the government will soften its stance on MCO as the hospitals are able to cope with the victims. And then as their hospitals start to fill up, they'll clamp down again. So every business needs to be in the position where you can have all your staff working from home, you have access to your systems remotely so that your business can continue as best as possible. So for that, normally we would recommend VPN is very useful for connecting into your network. As I described before, it's very much like you're connected to your work network. So you have access to all of the facilities you would have had. The other thing that can be done, and the nice thing about the VPN, it's very secure. So you're not opening things up for all the world to try to get in. The other thing that's very useful is having a proper task management system, something that is managed by the company and allows you to then delegate your tasks out to your staff and track them even if they're not in the office right in front of you. Those two things are probably the most straightforward things to help when it comes working remotely. Obviously, your security at home needs to be as good as your security in the office. If you're remotely connecting into your local network, to your office network through a VPN, you need to be sure that the machine you're connecting in with is also secure. So this is where really you should have the same antivirus rolled out across the company and on any personal machines that are connecting in. But that's I think that would cover for most companies.
VPN has been mentioned for a few rounds and many times, but VPN to businessmen like me is still very much, I'm not sure about the CapEx, OpEx, and how difficult to implement. So any idea how easy or how difficult? Because personally, I have experience with some bank. The security is so good that I actually blacklist them from using the bank because it's so difficult. It's so difficult that you basically spend additional minutes to get yourself logged in and to approve a simple transaction where other bank finish in 20 seconds. You need about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you still figure out how to do it.
With the bank, that's very much the way their two-factor authentication is working. I know the bank you're talking about because I have the same experience. There's a balancing act between security and ease of use. The more you make things secure, the more difficult they become to use. And so you have to find that middle ground where it's as sensibly secure as it can be, whilst also being as sensibly usable as it should be. I think that bank in particular, we won't mention any names, but I think they've gone a little bit insane when it comes to the level of security. The nice thing about a VPN is it doesn't really rely on two-factor authentication. You have certificates that are issued to every device that needs to connect into your network. And you connect through a piece of software, some VPN client software that will connect to your VPN server, show the server the certificate you have. If you're allowed to connect, you're then just on the network. So everything else from that point is like you were plugged in with a cable.
But I would like to ask from the point of view of business owner. Yes, VPN is good enough. But to me, what is my capital investment and what is my OpEx? And then what type of manpower I need to implement it?
It very much depends what kind of service you're going for. The one we provide is a hosted service in the sense that you have a cloud-based VPN server that's basically allows everyone to connect into it, and also allows your HQ office network to connect into it. At that point, you're all connected. You're all seen as on the same network. Something like that costs from a few thousand ringgit, like 2,000-3,000 ringgit to set up, and then very minimal costs for per user license.
Well, how much when you say minimal? Is 10 ringgit, $10, or is?
I think the last time we spoke, we've got the prices down to around about between 20 and 30 ringgit per device, depending on the number of devices. Obviously, the more you have, then the better prices we can do.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Hi, Steve. I just a question from the audience here. Just me allowed to read out. Okay. Question from Ken Yu. The question is maybe like this. Even after the MCO is lifted, I'm exploring work from home for our office. We have a high spec of desktop for architecture and design software in the office, and the server for the storage purposes that can only be accessed on location. Work from home can be challenged because of the hardware and software requirement. That's our staff doesn't necessarily have at home. Apart from the team viewer, what the other options for our staff can use of hardware, software, and services in the office?
That's a really good question, and conveniently, there is a really good solution for this, which actually comes from the gaming industry. There are services that allow you to play games on your high-spec gaming PC from your relatively low-spec laptop. So basically, all of the video, everything, all the hard work is being done on your high-spec PC. And much like TeamViewer, shown to you directly, only where TeamViewer is a little bit sluggish because it's only really meant for administration tasks. This solution gives you very, very responsive feedback, which is very useful if you're doing anything like CAD work or graphics work. You really don't want the mouse lag between you doing something and something happening on the screen. So yeah, there are we have solutions, in fact, which do that. And so basically, your staff from home, as long as they've got a computer that's capable of getting onto the internet, then they can connect remotely to their office and then have all of the horsepower that's in their high power machines and all of those files local to those machines, all fully accessible, even though you're at home on a relatively low power machine.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
And just now you mentioned that the browser, about the password. Browser remember the password, we forgotten about the password, and then browser also forgotten about password, then everybody in trouble, right? So then traditionally how we recover the password is through mobile number. But you also mentioned that mobile is not the ideal option. So what kind of option we still have?
Well,
Yeah.
particularly SMS. SMS is the biggest culprit. On most networks, SMS isn't encrypted at all. So in theory, if someone chose to, they could try to watch your two-factor authentication codes going by. Also, it's quite easy to socially engineer the telecom employees of your local, whoever your provider is, say Maxis or Cellcom. It's relatively straightforward to persuade them that, oh, I've lost my phone and my SIM card has been damaged. Can you send me a new one? And if you're very persuasive, you can have a SIM card sent to you that doesn't belong to you, in which case at that point, you receive every SMS that person should have been getting. And this is a common way to hack into people's accounts. As far as the best alternative, there's no perfect alternative, really. I mean, if you can use passwords that you can remember by using the technique that I explained, that's ideal. You need to have separate passwords per service. So maybe if you can think of some play on words related to each service, and then put those extra characters on the end, it would become something you get familiar with and you can do very easily. As far as passwords recovery, you have to kind of go with whatever the website that you're using provides. So for the most part, that would be email or SMS.
I just one of the what you call according the claim best practice. Probably I will share with you, so you probably can comment about it. Yeah. Is that you create a email address that only yourself know about it. Mm-hmm. Then so that people do not know this is an email that they can need to hack. Yeah. So the email name also a bit uncommon. So by figure out which email already a problem, so put that email as your recurring email. So every time you have any problem, just let the password sent to that particular one email address is purely to use as a key to recover a password. What do you think about this practice?
Yeah, that's a perfectly good way of doing things. You may potentially have the issue that if you use that particular email account so infrequently that you also can't remember the password to that email account, which means you might be recovering from that. But if you can get around that problem, Google has a very nice facility where you can basically, it will pop up if you're using an Android phone. If you log in, instead of it asking for a number or sending you an SMS, it will actually pop up on your phone, did you just log in? And then you just press yes and everything carries on. So it handles your two-factor for you. So yeah, if you are using your backup account, your recovery account using Google like that, then you don't have to remember the password for that. And so then, yeah, all the other services that you don't have that facility on, you could recover to that account. It's a perfectly valid way to do it.
Yeah. How about the rest of the panels? And do you have any question that you would like to ask Steve?
Yeah, there's a question on the audience here from L. He mentioned that for PayPal forgotten password, he went to Malaysia office, but no one can assist him. although that he can authenticate himself physically. So I'm not sure.
I suspect that's because I believe the Malaysia office for PayPal is mostly marketing, sales and marketing office. I don't think they have much in the way of the technical ability based in Malaysia. So it makes sense that they can't recover the password for them, because if they could, then they could recover anyone's password whenever they chose to. So normally when it comes to things like PayPal, there is a process to go through. It may be very long-winded. Often it involves you getting your IC, taking a photo of your IC with your face next to it, doing all sorts, jumping through many, many hoops. But generally there is a way of recovery. I don't know the PayPal one personally. I don't really use PayPal. But normally there is a technique, a method to get it back. It just means you've got to talk to their support people and basically follow every step of the instructions that they give you.
I have a question here. So you're saying just now that can be solved by the enable all the practices and as well as the VPN solution to cater for the remote working solution. Yeah. So so there's one scenario. I'm not too sure whether other business owner or audience having it. A lot of friends is telling me that one of the most concern is that when I enable my work from home already for my business, how do I ensure my staff and the rest of the people accessing to my system will not steal my data? So with that, any advice?
I mean, this to be honest is a problem whether you're in or out of the office. Obviously, in the office, someone could take a thumb drive or just email themselves some potentially private information. We have solutions for this. There are methods to stop internal fraud, which can encrypt documentation. Basically, first you go through all of the information, you work out which is needs to be secure, which is free to be viewed but maybe not sent out of the company, and what's free to travel the world. And then the system, basically, even if you were to copy the text from one document and paste it into a new document that then you intended to email to yourself, it encrypts that new document in the same way as the old one was. And because you have to have this software installed in the background to view the original document, it has control over your new document to make sure that that one also remains encrypted. So yeah, we do have anti-fraud solutions. They tend to be used in slightly larger companies, those with maybe more than 60 or 100 staff, because they tend to be the size of company that's a little bit more difficult to monitor. But yeah, those solutions, they're extremely powerful. They also highlight working activity. We had an amazing story where we did a 2-week trial with a company with this software, and after the 2 weeks, it turned out that someone who was in the office working in the admin department had spent 40 hours watching movies. I don't know how that's possible to spend that much time in 2 weeks watching movies, but this person had managed to do that. So this kind of activity can also be highlighted within a company using this solution.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. So let's move on to the next speaker, Doctor. Before I would like to share my screen, and let's do a simple poll so that we know is the session of Steve, and then we can get the feedback so that we can continue to improve ourselves. So please help us to take a simple poll. So it's just only 4 questions, so it will take less than 10 seconds. So you let me know when the poll is completed, then yeah, I will proceed.
Sure. Okay, I think we are more or less there. Then I will
Okay,
end this
so,
poll.
okay, I'll continue from here. Thank you. Allow me to introduce the next speaker, Dr. YKK, Dr. Yew Kam Keong, Chief Mind Unzipper from mindbloom Consulting. So Dr. YKK has a long list of credential and qualification. So I am able to share part of them, like Bachelor of Science, University of Malaysia, Masters, Imperial College, UK, PhD, WU, UK, and founder member of Malaysian Invention and Design Association, MICE, founder, president of Invention and Design Association of Sarawak Ideas, conceptualize, plan, and implementation, Malaysian National Science Centre, former strategist, Malaysian Industry Government for High Technology. The core activity of business of Doctor is a business innovation speaker, facilitator, and best-selling author, creator of Arithmetic of Innovation, creator of Dolphin with Innovation System. So feel free to ask questions pertaining to topics in Zoom chat room. We'll answer if we have enough time. Let's welcome Dr. YKK. How to re-energize your company after the COVID-19 lockdown, sharpen your saw to grow your business. Let me stop sharing my screen and I pass over the screen sharing to Dr.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah, let me start this way. Now, I have a very simple system, which it is very simple, it is very practical, and you can implement it immediately after you return to office. Is that something good for you? Please give me a comment on the chat box. Is it yes or no? Now, the thing is that, let me start by telling you a little personal story. When I was going to a tire shop many years ago, I saw the owner tossing tires to his worker up near the ceiling. So after he has completed his tossing, I spoke to the boss who was tossing the tires. I say, you are incredible. You are so strong to be able to toss these tires up, about 6 feet or so, or 2 meters high. So I say, did you receive any training on that? And so how do you do it? Then he told me, actually, it's not true, because now I have to spend a lot of effort and I have a lot of aches after doing this. And also, there is likelihood of injury. Then why do you do that? I asked him. He said, it is because I just came back from a 2-week vacation overseas and I lost the momentum. And so I need 3 or 4 days to regain my former strength and skill. So let's come back to this COVID-19. It's the same thing, isn't it? Because most of us now, our factories are closed, our offices are closed. So when you go back, the momentum is missing. You need the momentum to drive it. But even more complex is that the world may be a different place when we start your business. The whole economics, the whole dynamics of the world business environment has changed. So to me, I have 2-word answer to this. And it begins with the word L and Q. Can you guess what these 2 words are? I have a book here. my best-selling book. And anyone who get the answer first will get a free copy of this book, worth 50 ringgit. Okay. Now, let me continue. Shall I continue?
Yeah, yes, please.
So, the first word, anybody put in? No one? The first word L is actually laughter. I learned to be a laughter instructor from the guru of laughter himself, Dr. Madan Kalia. He is the founder of laughter clubs all over the world. And he, sorry, can you hear me?
Probably you need to mute one of the device.
I think that's
because
echo,
two devices.
Mute the
phone. Which one do you prefer? Which one is clearer? The sound, the one quite cool. So you might mute this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it mute now?
Yes. So then it's good. Yeah.
Oh, sorry for interruption.
No worry.
So, is that laughter is so important. There are three key benefits of laughter. Number one, you're happy. It makes you happy. Number two, it makes you healthy. And number three, it makes you more creative. So whenever I do training, I usually do a laughter session. I even invent or create corporate laughter for corporations. Right? So what I suggest is this. In the morning, before you start work, assemble your workers together, or they can be in their own sections, and have a 5-minute laughter session. And this laughter is created by Madan Kataria, that called laughter yoga. There's no need to have any reason for laughter. In fact, he said that if you are laughing for no reason, then there are many reasons the world will provide laughter for you. So you see, by starting early and laugh early in the morning, you set the mood for the whole day. Don't you think so? Mm-hmm. So I hope those of you who are running corporations and running offices make laughter the first thing in the morning, because it sets the mood for the whole day. And that also will motivate people and make them happy, and they will be more productive. Now, the second letter is the letter Q. And Q stands for questions.
Okay.
Any one of us would like to do a search on Google. What do? You have to ask a question, isn't it? Sometimes what you ask is not correct or not in line with the information in Google. So you have to try different angles of asking the question. So in this age of knowledge at your fingertips, you don't even need to have much knowledge. But if you know how to ask Google, so question is very important. When you ask a question, be more specific and not very generic. For example, don't ask a question like, how are we going to improve sales for our company? Ask something like this. How can we double our sales for the 40-year-old within 3 months? Then you will direct the thinking to solve the problem. Otherwise, you have blue sky thinking, which is not very useful, right? So that is the guideline number one. Guideline number two is that when you have a meeting, you have an agenda for meetings, isn't it? But those agenda items generally are very dry and does not encourage people to do some thinking before the meeting. So how do you do it? Well, every item in your agenda for meeting should be a form of question. Let me give you an example. First item of a meeting is general matters arising. How boring. And do people do anything with an agenda like that? Unlikely. So what I suggest is, instead of matters arising, you ask the question, what have we achieved since the last meeting? So with this, people have to think about what they have done since the last meeting, and it will be a more productive meeting. Otherwise, every item, in fact, every statement can be converted into a question, right? Now, the third guideline is when you come across a very so-called stupid or insane question, right? A person like a great scientist like Albert Einstein used to ask very stupid questions. For example, when he was young, he asked himself, what will happen if I light on the right beam with a clock in my hands? And he said, that's a stupid question, how can I right beam? But that he discovered the theory of relativity. Likewise, let me give you a real example of how this question created one of the best marketing campaign ever. During a meeting, how to commemorate the 50th anniversary, a laundry detergent manufacturer would like to get ideas on how to reward their customers. Many ideas were given out, all of them quite stereotyped, have an advertisement, have a lucky draw, and all sorts of standard ideas. Then one salesman came out and said, give a diamond in every box so that every customer will be rewarded with a diamond. Now, what will you say? You are the chairman of the meeting. Isn't that a stupid idea? A diamond costs at least $500, whereas a box of detergent costs only $5. You bankrupt the company in no time, isn't it? Isn't that a stupid question? But fortunately, this manager was trained in creativity, and he knows that a lot of great ideas originally sound stupid. So this is what he said. I hope you can say after me. That's very interesting. Please tell me more.
Oh, that's very interesting. And please tell me more.
Good. Since you asked me, I will tell you now. Oh. So after that, the man explained. He said, of course, it's not feasible to give a diamond, real diamond in every box, isn't it? Because $500 is 100 times the value of the detergent box. How can you do it? However, if you can have a real diamond in every 10,000 boxes or even 100,000 boxes, so do some calculation on that, will that be feasible now? What do you think? Is it feasible now?
Yeah, because 10,000 times $5 is 50,000 of revenue. Then if the diamond is cost $500, so there is a surplus of $49,500.
So what else can you add to this to make it even better? Anyone? Well, inside the box with a diamond, there is a note. The note says, congratulations, if you have received a real diamond. But if you're not sure whether your diamond is real or fake, please go to this jewelry chain store and check it out. No obligations, right? So most housewives are the buyers of this detergent, isn't it? So they go to this jewelry shop, and the salespeople are well trained already. So when they bring a fake diamond, the salesman there will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, madam, your diamond is not real." Don't say fake, so doesn't sound right. Not real, not so good. But why you worry about that diamond? There are plenty of diamonds and jewelry here. Choose your pick, right? And you know how many housewives women goes to a Jewish shop without buying something. It's very rare, isn't it? When they go to Jewish shop, they have to buy something most of the time. So the Jewish shop did a roaring business. Now, what happened if they found a real diamond inside the soap box? The sales person would say, Congratulations, you got yourself a really fantastic diamond. Huh? Diamond, this is very valuable. I tell you what, why don't you set it in this pendant, this beautiful pendant, it is designed for this diamond. You set it in, and together with this chain, and wear it, you will be the conversation item of any party you attend. But why stop here? Why not get a pair of earrings, right? A pair of earrings to match this diamond pendant. And better still, we even have a ring, you know, that comes as part of the set of this diamond. Just imagine how gorgeous you will look with the diamond pendant, with a pair of diamond earrings, and the diamond ring. Well, will not be the life of the party? So what do you say? Is that a great solution? That's why this marketing campaign was the most successful ever, and everybody wins. The manufacturer wins, the detergent boxes just raw off the shelf, fly off the shelf, and the housewife wins because they at least get a chance to go to the excuse to go to the jewelry shop to get themselves free, or get themselves a diamond pendant or thing, and the jewelry shop wins, isn't it? So all three parties win. So who is the loser? Any loser? Anyone?
None.
Is there a loser here?
None. Cannot see any loser.
Yes.
I think all are winner here.
The husband is a loser because the husband have to pay for the diamonds. But that is not good enough, actually. The next question you can ask is, can we get the diamond for free? You know, there are lots of diamonds given out, isn't it? Because it flies off the shelf. So do you think you can get a sponsor for the diamond? Who do you think will be a sponsor for the thing? Anyone?
Jewelry chain.
Yes, exactly. Why would they want to sponsor this?
Because they can benefit from the additional sales and the publicity.
Exactly. So the company, the detection company, don't even have to spend a cent on the diamonds. They just get the fake diamonds and they get the real diamonds sponsored. And this is a real incident, right? It's a real marketing campaign. So think about this. The power of questions. If you ask the powerful questions, then you will get powerful results. And in this age of innovation, in this age of rapid change, and the whole world, in fact, will not be the same again after this COVID-19, how do you re-examine your business culture, right? So if you make it your culture in your company to encourage questions, then you will be able to tap on the intellect, the wisdom, and the experiences of all your people. Because if you give a directive or give a statement, you invite resentment. For example, when you got to sell me a vacuum cleaner, hey, this vacuum cleaner is very good for you. What do I have in my mind? I will say that, oh, this guy is trying to sell me something, trying to make money for himself, isn't it? Right? The onus is on you, the focus is on you, not on me, isn't it?
Yeah, good.
But if you say that we are doing a trial run of this vacuum, we like to get your opinion on this vacuum and so on, without any being salesy and asking a lot of questions, then your chances of sale is much better. Okay, in conclusion, let me sum up what I've said. Number one, introduce laughter in your company early in the morning. If you need help, you can always contact me. I design corporate laughter for your company. Number two, make asking questions a corporate culture in your company. have guidelines on how questions should be asked, and provide incentive for asking questions. And there are three key guidelines I provided here in my talk. Number one, can you remember number one? Be specific in when you're asking questions. Don't ask things like how to improve your sales. That will not really tap into the creativity of the people. What you ask is that how do we double the sales for those above 40 within 3 months? Then also, it is measurable, isn't it? You can measure it. Secondly, in your next meeting, put every item in your agenda as questions, because questions invite thinking. They have to think about it before they attend the meeting. And finally, if someone asks a stupid or insane question, what should you say? Anyone? That's very
interesting.
Interesting. Please tell me more. Okay, so if you want more tips on asking questions, I can conduct a session on how to ask questions, as well as to for this creating corporate laughter for your company. I do it free for you. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Panelists, do you have any question to ask?
This is Ginai here from ACMS Human Capital. Not a question, but absolutely agree with what Dr. YKK said. By asking them the questions, what's happening is instead of being given instructions and being controlled, now they're being given an opportunity to co-create, to be part of the solution. And that means that they have actually some control, some input into the decisions that are going to be made. And that makes employees a lot more happy, and also they buy in more to the end result, the end decision, and they're more willing to implement it. Yeah, so great point, YKK.
Is there a winner for the L and Q?
I don't think there's any winner. There's a question from the participant.
Okay.
The question is about how is Dolphin with innovation generate more ideas to pivot business?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I developed this technique after studying over 20 years study on creativity and innovation. And I got the inspiration from Steve Jobs. You know, Steve Jobs was the greatest innovation entrepreneur who ever lived. He's the first $1 trillion company. So, but you know, how did Steve Jobs build his business? He's the greatest copycat. You know that? Steve Jobs is the greatest copycat. In fact, you can hear him directly from his mouth. We just go to YouTube and type Steve Jobs copycat. He says this way. He says that good artist copy, great artist skill. And we at Apple are shameless about copying great ideas. Right? That is from Steve Jobs. Now, so with this inspiration, then I study. See, most of the innovation system, while they're good, they carry a high degree of risk and high degree of failure. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Right? So is there a way to reduce this failure risk, reduce the resources, reduce time, reduce money and everything, and come up with an innovation that have the highest probability of success? Do you think it's possible?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's where I developed Dolphin Wave Innovation System. The principle is very simple. Whatever problem we have, someone somewhere in the world has already found the solution, or either directly or indirectly. So all that we need to do is to find the solution and then modify it to our needs, adapt it to our needs. Since it's already been a successful, proven solution, the chances of success is much, much higher.
Mm.
So I developed
Makes
a
sense.
5-step process for this, and all inspired by Steve Jobs.
So that is your
I
paid
answer your
program,
question.
I believe.
Sorry?
Yes, I believe it's answered the question. But
Okay.
is your program is a paid program, right? I believe that
Yeah,
if
that's right.
corporate
Yes, a
want
paid
to have it, how much potential investment that they have to look into? Or if let's say convenient, you share. If not, then we move to the next question. No worry.
No, the thing is that I did a session for the IWK many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and from the own calculation, I did a 2-day course to understand the principles, and then followed by 3 days of applying what was taught in that course to a specific problem in the company, right?
Okay.
And they have the accountants and engineers and all that assisted that they will be there, and they did a calculation after getting the idea, following my system, and they said that the idea, based on the calculation, will save them 13 million ringgit every year.
That's good. That's good.
Every month. Yeah. And I did the same thing in Australia to a high-tech company, and they were in trouble that time because the new owner just took over, and the previous owner kept everything to himself, so nobody knows what is happening. And for several months he took over, there was very little progress with the company. In fact, it was losing money. So I conducted a course there, and 2 years later I went back. The company has grown 3 times. They say that originally they are the ones who actually created special equipment for the oil industry, the oil exploration and refining industry. So they have to come up with new projects every time. And they ran out of projects because the owner took away all his ideas, and he's the only brain behind there. So now with my system, he was able to be very proactive, and they have this system, and they grew 3 times the size in 2 years. I have a testimonial of this in my website.
Thank you, Doctor. So thanks for the question, and also thanks for the answer and the presentation, Doctor. So we will move to the next session. Thank you. So I will do a share screen now. Please feel free to launch a poll for Doctor so we can capture the feedback and use it as continuous improvement. So this question usually only take you about a few questions, so it should take you less than 10 seconds to finish it. You mind to share the...
Yes, I launch it.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Okay, shall I continue?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we can end the poll. Okay.
Yeah, I should end it.
Mm-hmm. Right, thank you. Gentlemen, ladies, next session is about Asia Crazy Revenue Model. Why we call it Asia Crazy Revenue Model? Because we are really in a very crazy world now. You can imagine that we got lockdown, movement control, and circuit breaker, and all this situation today. If you ask anyone about it like 12 months ago, a person might likely say that you must be crazy. Imagine that is have you taken your medication, or you taken what medication just now? So this Asia Crazy Revenue Model is to brainstorm and explore about revenue model, monetization model that is still new and potentially solve the later business problem, and it's not entirely proven yet sometimes. So today we're going to talk about restaurant. Yeah, restaurant, due to the latest COVID-19 situation, and I think they got the worst hit. And then even later, things movement control wave, you still can see some of them may not able to operate again. So how to solve the problem? Then we talk about before COVID-19. Basically, people they have the restaurant near to a working place, and then normally the customer are the one that come to the restaurant. So Asia crazy revenue model would like to talk about send the restaurant to the customer, not only about during the COVID-19, but how about later? Because COVID-19 may not be the last one we see. There's no guarantee that the next one will come or not. And then coupled with a climate crisis that even can cause more damage. Because climate crisis is not only you can lock down or movement control. When climate crisis, then potentially fire, flood, and all that, even the basic infrastructure will be destroyed. It's like nowhere to hide. So that will be even worse. So let's talk about now, send the restaurant to the customers. So this model is to target people working from home, because during the COVID-19, you can see that people start to get used to working from home, because you can at home take care of the children, do a lot of things, and at the same time, you still can produce the result. And you don't need to go through the travel and also the traffic jam. And why, when these folks, when they're working from home, why they need this product or solution? Because work from home is not that as free as everyone think. Actually, work from home, you end up working even longer hour. And you really is like, you don't even have time to eat sometimes. It's like back-to-back work. And then cooking is messy. How many of you agree with me? It's not about cooking sometimes, but after you cook, right, who want to clean? It's like, okay, wait for another hours. Then after that, that 1 hour turn to the 5 hours. Then you need to clean it before your next round of cooking. And the third one is going out is a lot of work. It's really a lot of work. You need to do makeup or dress up. Now you're no longer able to dress like this and with your short hand. I'm not too sure how many are doing that. Then you need to dress properly, and then you have all the masks up, and some area you don't even have to have a cap because it's airborne, and then potentially carry the respect. And so if you want to send the restaurant to the customer, means you get the customer to order from you actually online or messaging or all that. Firstly, how to get the customer first? The most easy one is to convert your existing customer by telling them that instead you come to order, I can actually you can order from home, then I send it over to you. You can put in a name card or put in a brochure A4 paper or half A4 paper, and then every time you pack food, you put a notice inside, say you can call this number next time. So then convert existing customer and then put a sticker near your shop and all that. And how the customer can order? But be mindful, try to use messaging, because online communication or real-time communication like voice and call-in is good, but then you must have real time to pick up, because call-in, people count by second. Do you pick up in 10 seconds, or you pick up in 5 seconds, or you pick up in 30 seconds, then you fail. So messaging, people allow us to even to take some time to respond. So messaging today, the free one, you can use WhatsApp, you can use WeChat, you can use Facebook, you can use a lot other like Instagram and so on and so forth, that your working area or your targeted client they're using. Probably you can ask them what type of messaging you're using or Skype. And to the cost to the operator of the restaurant, actually it's still your smartphone. Just install the software and open an account, right? And even the messaging or email, yeah, you can do that. But there are some risks here. Probably they give you the wrong address, give you the order the wrong product, and potentially there's a COVID-19 illness and compliance issue to travel, you got roadblock, and you're advised to go home, or you get penalized for non-compliance, and then a collection of the money. That's a challenge that the operator have to think about. But the good news is this: if once you're able to build your regular customer base quite sizable, there's some great advantage, like your income become more predictable and consistent. You're able to say, okay, when if this online, how many percent or how many dollar I will come from this online booking, and you even can do promotion because you have contact already, instead of passively waiting for customer. Now can proactively look for customer. And once you can build your regular customer base and you're able to see their buying pattern, you know which are the product or which of the things you want to have more and which of the product you want to reduce. For those have more to certain sizing, you can actually do a bulk purchase at a more discount. So your profit margin will increase. And you even can do late minute fire sales offers. What it means, normally, if you start to see a pattern, then you know by what time they should have ordered already. If actually past certain time, if you get an order, the chances is very less already. Like what if that day you still have an X amount of set, like for example, 50 sets. You know that today you're not going to make it. This 50 set is considered done and fail. So you probably can just blast it out to your existing customer base. Say, hey, I have a last minute fire sales, buy one, free one, or things like that. Can you want to order? So quickly unload it. Actually, this customer might thinking to order food from somewhere else. Or then they might just say, ask a friend, say, hey, this guy is promotion. Do you want to buy or not? Probably you can store it and keep it until tonight. So who knows? That will maximize the profits and reduce the wastage. The disclaimer here, I need to do a disclaimer here. The sharing actually is meant for brainstorming, and actually is not guaranteed of revenue. So if you fail, please don't come and claim. It's mainly for sharing. It's a crazy revenue model. So, and it also has not taken into consideration of local regulation, compliance, and local licensing. Please do check before you implement the model, because this Asia crazy revenue model is more for Asia, so for brainstorming purpose. So how to customize it into your marketplace, please have to do some localization, customization, especially the local regulation and compliance side. So I would like to open the floor to fellow panelists and take some questions.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yes.
I think that this one is not competitive at all because there's no innovation element there.
Okay.
Right? You just take away food, everybody is doing it. You have Panda, you have so many people, like even so many companies already doing that. So what's so different about yours? To me, I think more of the corporate environment, let's say work from home, not for housewives. Then what you can do is create an ambience of a restaurant. And this can be easily done by a back screen, a green screen. You can project any scene you want. You're having lunch in Paris or London or New York or anywhere in the world you want, right? Now, secondly, you must make it participative. What I mean is you have some sort of virtual meeting where people can sit as if they're sitting at a table having a discussion. So you have to develop certain softwares that makes you competitive. For example, if this Singapore, what you call that, the Grab car, just say, okay, you order, the taxi will come to you. Would that be any competitive advantage? No, there's like Airbnb, right, and Amazon and all that. They don't have the thing, but they have the intermediate, they have a system. So in order for this to be successful, you need a system. You need some software-driven system that adds value to just having food. And according to creativity and innovation studies, informal lunch and game and all that are places where breakthroughs happen, not informal meetings. In fact, hardly any breakthroughs occur in formal meetings. It's all informal chat and having games and parties and so on, that suddenly the idea triggers. So I would suggest that you have to introduce some innovation, some programming to simulate an environment. For example, everybody likes to go to Switzerland in the Alps. So why not have a meeting in the Alps, a virtual meeting in the Alps, right? You can even wear the headset, all right, and on a ski jump or whatever. So you have some enjoyment, and then at the same time, you can have a chat, and you can even build models, right, virtually. You can actually see people doing models, because what's important is prototyping. One of the design thinking technique is that you build a prototype, and actually you can build a prototype, you show it in a meeting, and you can actually have a 3D printer, just scan it with an infrared scanner. You can reproduce that prototype, and you can study it together as a group. So there's so many ways, and you have to introduce innovation. Otherwise, it's just like any food delivery people. So where is the competitive advantage? Zero, isn't it? Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Doctor. There's two ways to look into it. One is to build a model and then do it big scale. One is look at the man on the street. Those are still doing a hawker or small restaurant that look for some solution into it. So, any questions?
You still can get food from them. Getting food is not a problem.
Any question, anything, any comment?
In fact, they can even take turn to cook and share their recipe and show to them. And all these things make it more exciting rather than just eating at home, getting a tapao and take it. I think what fun is that? There's no fun, you know.
True. Yeah. Anyone? If not, then so thank you. Hold on, let me. So, any time for question? I think we have taken all the question. So, announcement. Today's Asia Business Talk Show will be uploaded to YouTube, and if you are keen to speak at Asia Business Talk Show, please contact us at abts@acmfgroup.com. Thank you very much, and see you next Friday, 3:30, same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.